Welcome to Behind the MasterMinds, episode 17 with...
Well, today we have Chris from Constructed Adventures.
Yeah.
Hey!
Hi, and before we do anything else, let's announce the raffle winner.
Yes.
Get that out of the way.
This is I know a lot of people are going to want to know.
So many
They're
entries
crossing
for
their
this.
fingers for this one. The Cursed Dollhouse. Let's go!
Cursed Dollhouse from
Yeah.
What is it?
Who?
Oh my gosh, it's
Who's-
Ariel.
Ariel, congratulations!
Ariel!
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hop on the phone with you and help you build some wonderful, spectacular adventure for someone. It's going to be a blast.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, what's going on back there? You have like a lot in your background. Like, what's up?
Oh, yeah. So, fun fact, I also have a YouTube channel where I teach people how to create fun, immersive treasure scavenger hunts. So this is my backdrop. You'll see I have normal things like a cryptex, I think right there behind me. I've got some treasure chests. God, I can't. Some semaphore flags. I'm not sure if you're familiar with semaphore, but it's a way where you can pass messages with different flag positions, right? You put your hands like this, and that's an A or this. And then I also have some time in different places.
Yeah.
And that actually comes to a puzzle that I've built for the chat room, for the participants, for anybody doing. And it's essentially a 5-letter password. And if you get it, just type G in the chat. And then we'll go back to the first person that got it. And I'll actually send them a handwritten wax-sealed envelope with a Constructed Adventure sticker. Let me see if I have any.
Wow,
I should have had them available. And then that password, if you do want to sign up to have me consult with you, putting that in the little About Me area, as a promo code, will get you $10 off every hour. So it's just a fun little game to play as we chat.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess as the audience are watching, they can sort of try to figure out that puzzle behind you.
Yes. I'll drop hints as people are stuck, because I left out everything's there that you need. Everything's been kind of explained, but I can add in a couple of hints. It kind of expects almost 4 steps and finding it, figuring out how it works, decoding it, and then unscrambling, which will be super easy because
Okay, so I think as time goes, we will be hey, no one typed G yet. Let's give us that first hint, please.
Yeah.
And then we'll keep going until someone finally gets it.
Yeah, I actually thought you were inside of an escape room right now. I was like,
I know, right? My life is kind of like one escape room, just everywhere and anywhere.
Just so everybody can see, though, there are 5 times in the back, right? Back of you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So try to find those first. That's probably your starting point.
That's definitely your starting point.
All right. Okay, so let's give a little intro for Chris.
Let's introduce Chris and let the world know more about him.
Chris, aka. I feel like I'm talking to a secret agent.
We're going to put some morphing on that.
Yeah. He gets hired to build out bespoke, seemingly serendipitous, perfect days for special occasions.
Yep.
If that's too hard to understand, think wildly elaborate scavenger hunts. He travels the world working with people, companies to build amazing events like marriage proposals, anniversaries, big birthdays, virtual marketing campaigns, and team building.
The viral marketing campaign.
Yeah.
And virtual, probably.
Right now, it's all virtual.
Oh, right. So I'm just virtuing everything.
Yeah.
Each adventure is completely custom and tailored for that specific special someone.
Yeah. And team building, I'm assuming, as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love to hear some cool stories. We're going to pull up some images and we're just going to start from that.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, your job sounds amazing, by the way. I love traveling around the world, just putting smiles on people's faces on their special days. I'm sure you encounter amazing stories, but they're also bizarre stories. I don't really know,
stories.
Category it goes to. Tell us, what are we seeing here?
So this one, I think it was adventure number 31 or 32. A gentleman hired me for his, I believe, girlfriend or fiance, significant other, and the whole purpose was to get them to a concert. there was like one of her favorite bands was coming in town, and he bought tickets for her and her friend group to do this. And so I actually sent you guys this same survey, and we can kind of chat about it. But in the beginning of these, a survey is always sent out about the person.
Yes.
It's kind of like if you've seen the movie The Game, where it's like you fill out a survey about everything, and it has really simple stuff like, are they allergic to anything, or do they have any phobias? And then it gets into like motivations, like are they intrinsically motivated, where if you just tell them to go somewhere they'll do it, or are they extrinsically motivated, where it's like you need to go here because you're going to find this, right? Like the little psychological things. And then, you know, on a scale of the movie Hitch to the movie National Treasure, you know, how do you want your adventure? How challenging do you want it to be? And one of the questions I love asking is, do they have any tattoos? And this is one of those reasons. This woman was like covered in tattoos. She had arms, legs, just like awesome. Like she was a tapestry.
Wow.
And so what we ended up doing is I basically built every puzzle and every challenge around her tattoos. So she was the key to everything. So most of the things ended up pointing to like a mural on her shoulder, or like a quote on her forearm or something like that. And then that quote, you know, was the passphrase she needed to get to lunch that had been covered, or this was a color or a word that she, you know, combined with something else that was a 4-letter combination for a lock. And so she was like the key to it all, which is kind of a cool experience. Like who doesn't want that to happen, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that. And then we have another picture here that we want to show. What is going on here?
This was the first like big budget adventure I did, which was very, very exciting. That is a woman with an otter. That otter is reading a small wax sealed envelope that got waterlogged. Shouldn't have gotten waterlogged, but it ended up being fine. Also had an extra. But essentially I had a woman, her husband hired me. It was their anniversary. And she went to the hair salon earlier in the week, and there was a wax sealed envelope that basically said, you need to be outside of your home at, 10 a.m. this Saturday. And she wakes up and her husband's not there and her kids aren't there. And it wasn't like scary not there. It was just like, oh, I wonder where they, like, yeah.
You're getting kidnapped. What's going on?
There's a lot of work you have to put in to make sure people don't think they're being murdered, because like true crime television and like Law and Order just makes everyone think like, oh, someone's knocking on my door. They're here to murder me. And it's like, no, I left my headlights on in my car and they're just trying to tell me, right? So she wakes up and family's gone. And she gets outside at 10 a.m. and there's like keys. There's a little treasure chest, like tiny little treasure chest. It's like, oh, I have to try to find one. I could say it's about this sized, right? It's just like a small chest. And she opens up the chest and there's keys inside of it. And she like clicks it. And there was a red Jaguar, like really, really nice Jaguar parked out front, and it like beeped open. And so she gets in and there's another envelope. And then eventually she got to a private airfield where a helicopter was waiting.
Oh my
and a helicopter had like a backpack with a swimsuit and snacks and stuff like that. And it took her to a wild animal park, where it literally like dropped her into a wild animal park, where they came out and they took her to like the otter enclosure, and an otter came out and like reached in his little toy bin and like pulled out this like wax sealed envelope in like a watertight container, and she like grabbed it from him. And so I always like to say like I had an otter hand off a clue, even though like, you can't train an otter to do it. But yeah, this one involved otters and helicopters, and it was
wow.
That sounds amazing. Okay, that's my birthday next year.
Yeah, that sounds like a proposal, but it was a birthday gift.
Yeah, it's really fun sometimes when I work with clients that have like insane budgets, where like, it starts off with like, okay, cool, we want to do this otter thing. Oh, it's like an hour and a half, 2-hour drive. That's too far. Like it'll stagnate the adventure. Yeah. And like, well, what if we did a helicopter? I'm like, okay. And then, so I reached out to the wild animal park, and I was like, hey, is there a way that we can like land a helicopter in your premises? And like, yeah, we'll move the llamas off field 3. It's fine. And I'm like, okay, I can find a helicopter. So sometimes what I do is just kind of about throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that was where it's like, helicopter. Okay, that worked. Wild animal park, otter, clues, that worked too. Landing it there, it just like everything combined, and it worked out really well.
But did you get to pick out the car too?
Oh yeah. Well, Turo is an app you can use. It's kind of like the Airbnb of cars. And so I'll use it all the time because it's just cheaper than Hertz or, you know, Enterprise if I'm trying to keep the budget low, if I'm trying to keep the price low for clients. So I can find some like beat up junk car that I don't care what I'm driving. But then, you know, they have like a McLaren and these ridiculous cars you can rent for like, you know, $300 to $500 a day. And you're like,
oh, we're so it wasn't a gift. I thought it was part of the whole birthday gift.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
The Jaguars. That's it.
Yeah, the Jaguar would have, if that was the gift, that'd be at the end of the adventure. Because I mean, otters are cool and all, but like, how do you
like, can we go back to the Jaguar? I mean, otters are cool, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, I just want to drive that thing around.
Yeah.
We got one more picture here. If you can tell us a little bit about this.
If you go on my Instagram, it's on there. It was in San Diego. So I've done probably 10 to 15 marriage proposals, and I've consulted for even more. And marriage proposals are my absolute favorite. Not necessarily because I'm like a super romantic guy, but because it's a huge, it's a huge day, right? It's like for some people one of the most important days of their life. Yeah. And it was. It always has the ending built in. Sometimes people hire me and they're like, it's our anniversary. And I'm like, cool, how does it end? And they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, we need to have an ending, like, because as much fun as these days are, they're taxing. They're a little bit exhausting for the player because you guys go to an escape room, and I'm going to assume you guys have probably done multiple escape rooms in a day, right? That just seems like your style. What's the record, if you guys don't mind me asking, that you guys have done?
In person or 9. Now with the at-homes?
9 per day.
Oh, in one day, yeah. I think it was 9, but it was different locations. It wasn't like we were knocking them all out at the same place.
How did you feel by like the 9th escape room? Were you just like doing it just to say you did it, but you're like, this isn't
hungry,
fun
tired.
Yeah, mostly hungry.
Drained.
But
yeah, I remember I went and saw 3 movies in a day, back to back with friends. By the 3rd movie, I was sitting here and I was like, I'm just doing this just to say I did it. I'm getting no joy from watching this movie. It's not fun. And so part of it's with these adventures, right? Like, they are fun, but usually they start sometime in the morning and they end in the evening. And so they are a whole day. And it's definitely not just like hitting people over the head with puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. There's an ebb and flow to like the feeling and breaks and things like that. But just the sheer act of like not knowing what happens next is taxing. Yeah. And so it's a tiring day, and so there needs to be a payoff at the end. And marriage proposal is like the ultimate payoff. My second favorite one is just like a surprise party where everyone jumps out and yells surprise. But so this one was a marriage proposal in San Diego. I used to live in San Diego, so sometimes people will find me. I'm in Portland now, which is why I'm wearing a jacket, because my little office room is kind of cold. Yeah. But people used to come to San Diego because it keeps the price of these adventures low. If you don't have to pay for me to fly out there and stay somewhere and rent a car and do that, you can come to me. You're on my home turf. I know this area better than anybody. And so essentially they stayed in a hotel. And so we had a knock at the door, and there was somebody there who was basically like, I was instructed to give you this. And gave them a wax sealed envelope and kicked them off on this like fun little, kind of like a mini treasure hunt with the 2 of them, where it was almost like kind of a sightseeing tour of San Diego. They went to like Old Town San Diego. They went to Balboa Park. They loved pizza. That was kind of their thing. Like one of their relationship things was pizza. So it's like, we have to have them stop at the best pizza place in San Diego, which was in Little Italy. And so, they go there and the server's like, everything's been paid for, order whatever you want. And then they open the envelope and there's 2 tickets to the ferry. And so they get on the ferry that goes from downtown to Coronado Island, which is like this super nice, like fancy island, where there's houses and like this main strip with like the brewery and like really high-end women's clothing stores and like salons and that type of stuff.
Their money.
Yeah, money. And so they actually end up getting split up. I orchestrate, like, she needs to find this one piece and he needs to find this. Sometimes it'll be like, you need to find the chest, you need to find the key, and then you're gonna meet back. But really, he turned the corner and like a car picked him up and like took him back to the hotel so he could change and like triple check to make sure he has the ring and like get his stuff in order. And then she went to a nail salon where like the nail tech was like, whatever you want, everything's already been paid for.
Nice.
Enjoy, kick back. And then she went to a clothing store where I had an iPad up with all of her friends, where we had like a Google chat FaceTime like thing. And so an attendant was there holding them, and they helped her pick out an outfit. Like, that was the same thing. Everything's been paid for. Pick out an outfit, wear it out of the store, and then to a massage, and then to like a hair studio to get makeup and like a blowout, and then to Hotel del Coronado, where she like got like her room key and went to the room, and she was then ushered to the beach, where he was waiting at the beach with like a photographer, and we set up some GoPros and had video going, and then there was like a little bonfire set up with like marshmallows and like strawberries and stuff like that. So it was kind of like one part puzzly, treasury hunt in the first half, and then it switched gears to just be like this perfect day for this woman, like leading up to this proposal.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that picture doesn't even look like San Diego. I thought it was some kind of island, because it was so pretty, like the back and with cabanas and everything.
Yeah, it's Hotel del Coronado, which is like a pretty famous hotel in San Diego. It was in a bunch of movies, and like, if you go to San Diego, a lot of people go there, and like you go sit in one of those cabanas and you buy a margarita in like a tiny cup, and it's like, that'll be $25, and like, but it's real nice. And so
you're paying for the experience as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's nice. We actually have somebody that typed G. I'm not sure if he actually got it or not, but we're going to just announce it to anybody who just recently joined that there is a puzzle embedded in behind Chris right now. If you can search for the clues, there should be 5, and somehow you're supposed to get a 5-letter after unscrambling it, which is the code. And if you did get it, then type G into the chat.
Yeah, and I gave the hint with another thing. Not yet. Don't say it yet. We'll
Don't say it yet.
we will say it.
And he also gets a little prize for whoever gets it first. So we'll announce that all the way at the end.
Yeah, make sure I get that address too, but I can get it from him. I know him on Instagram. We've chatted before.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right, so let's learn more about Chris. We got some questions for you to learn more about you.
Yeah. So what's your?
So first of all, your job sounds amazing.
I mean, we already.
But what are some of the different props you like to use in your game designs? Like, I've seen beautiful keys, boxes, scrolls with beautiful script writing. Like, do you have a favorite, and why is that your favorite?
Yeah, I'd say, honestly, I think my favorite thing to use overall is a cryptex. This one was designed by Justin Nevins, who I'm sure you've done an escape room that's had one of these in there, because like they're the best.
Not that high quality, but yes.
Yeah. There is, let's see. These are the ones that a lot of people are familiar with.
The Amazon ones?
Yep, the Amazon ones. These, like, if you're building one for like a fun thing, you can get this for like $50. It's great. It gets the job done. It's got weight to it. People that have never seen it before are like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is great. Plus, like, you could kill someone with this thing. Like, this is heavy. Like, you don't necessarily, but if you're doing a marriage proposal and you want to put the ring inside it, like, it'll fit in this. And this thing looks really nice, like sitting on somewhere where this doesn't look quite as nice. So
probably don't want to use it if you're using a water proposal, though.
Oh yeah,
sink to the bottom.
Fun fact. Actually, on my YouTube channel, I talked about airtight containers and using airtight containers. So you can use an airtight container. You can weight it to the bottom of something and then have people dive down. I have had people dive down in Hawaii. I did a Hawaiian adventure. It was like a team building.
Sounds like a diver proposal type of thing.
One of the big rules is mitigating risk. Like, you want to not be risky, and like, somebody sent me, because I'm kind of cute in whenever there's like a cute, quirky marriage proposal, and you see him. Somebody did like a Disney movie one where they like reanimated the end of like Beauty and the Beast, like him, and that was cool. But I heard about one where somebody died, where like they were divers, they did a lot of free diving, and they were staying in some cabana out somewhere, and she was like in the room, it was under the water, and he dove down outside to like show her something, and something happened, and so it's just like, you need to make sure that like you've covered your bases. And then currents too. Currents move stuff around, but cryptex is one of my favorite things because it's cool, it's beautiful, but it also frees up you as the creator, you got to think like there has to be someone behind the scenes. Usually it's me. For Ariel, the one that I'm going to be helping consult, it's going to be you. For anybody else that wants to hire me to consult or build one yourself, it's going to be you too. But what the cryptex allows is, maybe there's a dead drop where you have to find the cryptex. Someone's going to be there watching that cryptex to make sure some like random kid isn't just like, oh, what's this thing? I'm going to take it. Yeah. But then they get the cryptex and they get a clue that sends them to a plaque on a statue somewhere. And they decode a message using some type of cipher, it doesn't even matter. And they open up the cryptex and it gives them the next clue. But the nice thing for me as the person pulling the strings behind the scenes or whoever is doing it, they don't have to be at that statue. So it allows them to like leapfrog and go set up the next piece, right? Maybe they go to the restaurant and chat with the manager to make sure like, oh, here's a photo of the person who's coming. I just got notification that they're on their way. And so it makes it easier to run the day as well. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And then to show us some of the different types of puzzles you're able to design for your clients. Like, if you wanted to, I know you had some of the other ones that you said you were planning in the back end of it for the audiences, but what are some that are unique that maybe we haven't seen before? Any kind of cryptex or ciphers or coders?
I just realized I'm trying to find my Mexican Army cipher right now. I was like, I was supposed to have that up. Yeah, I can always pull that up. But one of the things and it's kind of the difference, right? Like when you are building an escape room, you have constraints. You have to build it so as many people can like beat it or come close to beating it as possible. So it has to be a certain level. And like realistically, you have an hour. I know there are some escape rooms that are like pushing the limits a little bit with like 2 hours, but like, escape rooms are trying to make money, and you make money by having every single slot filled, and you have every single slot filled by having this. So sometimes you don't have the time to be able to explain things, because like you're dealing with some people, like you guys come in and you're ready to like rumble, but there are plenty of people that go into escape rooms where it's like a family or people have just been like drinking beforehand. It's like they don't really care, they just kind of want to do it, and so you can't explain things to them, you can't give them too much information, versus something like, and I've actually seen this in a couple escape rooms, like an Enigma Wheel, a lot of, I'm sure you guys have seen that too. That one kind of borders it, because it's like, okay, cool, if you line up I, it's a J on this one, you spin the wheel and it works. But it still is intrinsic enough to where like, it's a little risky if you aren't able to be like, this is how this works. You work it by doing this, you work it by doing this. And so a Mexican Army cipher, which I'm gonna like poke around. Next time you ask me a question, I'm gonna like reach back and ruffle through some things.
Yeah, and I mean, like the first time we saw that, we actually had some issues with knowing how to play something too.
Yeah, it was the first time we.
Yeah, and then as we play it, obviously it's much easier to understand like how it works. But that's usually how.
Exactly, and so it's the same thing with like the Mexican Army cipher. It's basically a wheel disc, and it's like you have. The outer wheel is numbers, and then you have, letters, and then you have numbers on the inside. And it was used in the Mexican-American War, and it was basically a way to pass codes. And so essentially you would like lock the wheel in. I'm still kind of like peering around, seeing if I can figure out where I put it, because I have just boxes of stuff everywhere.
Yeah, I see that. It's like a puzzle hunt at your house.
I know. I built my own puzzle of trying to figure out how to do this interview. So essentially you have to lock it in. So figure out like, okay, this letter equals this number, this number, this number, this number. And so what I'll often do is if an entire event kind of revolves around this, step one is like level one of video game, where it's literally like, here's a Mexican Army cipher, here's what it was, you need to decode this message, line up A with, 12, 27, 45, 82, and 91. Lock it in, and then decode the message. What you'll notice is 15 equals G, right? And so it's kind of like it tells them how to do it. And so then they decode the message and it's easy, right? It's like there was no puzzle involved. They literally just follow directions. And so then once that's established, I can start to build a puzzle out of that. And so it can be everything from like, they sit down at a restaurant and there's 5 little puzzles. One is a little brain teaser that sends them to a specific letter. which is going to be the letter, right? The anchor letter. And then it's like fun little, like, I don't like using math puzzles because math is the worst, but like logic-y puzzles, or teasers that have like, okay, this answer's 15, this answer's this. So they get it and they lock it in, and then they can go to the next thing.
I'm wondering, like, when you have these date request puzzly things, right? Does the guy usually reach out and be like, tell me the answers because I want to look like I'm really smart, be like in front of my, because we have that like all the time in emails, and then they're just like, can you please let us know what the answer is to these escape rooms that we're going to, so that I can like look really good in front of my like first date or boss or whoever's coming.
Yeah, what I end up doing is, so when people hire me, they have a couple options, right? They can either be behind the scenes with me, which frankly is kind of a lot of fun, because like, who doesn't want to be on the inside of one of these? Who doesn't want to be like dropping a wax sealed envelope and then like fading back into the crowd and like being a part of it, or be that person that they have to find and give the password to, and you like smirk at them and you're like, I was instructed to give you this, and you give them an envelope. Another way is they could be with them, right? Which helps me out a lot, because now I don't have to figure out how I'm gonna like plant a little GPS tracker on the player, right? Because I have an inside plan. So it works out well, because the person who it's for can have this amazing day where they're like, what is going on? Yeah. And the person that hired me can still have fun where they don't quite know what happens next, but like, if it's a marriage proposal, like we are prepping this proposal moment, right? We are getting together, we are meeting with the photographer, we are figuring out the angles in this, so there are no surprises. Because like, if you're gonna propose to someone, you might wanna have a little bit of fun during the beginning of the day, but then like, we're down to business, you know, this is what you have to focus on.
Right.
But yes, it works out well where it's like, I will, you know, I will clue you in. I will give you the clue so you can look like the champion, and also help me control the tempo, right? Because if it's leading up to a marriage proposal and proposal at sunset, we have like a 30-minute window that we have to hit.
You don't have all day to prove it.
Yes.
No, not even 60 minutes.
Do you work with like hidden earbuds too? You like talking to them?
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes I'll just have like my things on, and it works out well, because, and it's why I love, you know, like when people hire me, I stay incognito. If they are going to be on the adventure, I will not meet with them usually. No. So like, they're told to get on a train and go here. I can be sitting right next to them on the train, just like on my phone. Like, sure, I'm texting the actors that are meeting, like, you know, intercepting them later or doing this, but I just look like a guy under headphones on his phone. Yeah. They don't know what I look like. They don't know this. And, you know, I've got hats and I've got different things.
He's the architect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know you said we've also filled out the survey, and prior to the interview, we haven't really gone into the whole process of how you would like technically build an adventure for us. But let's just say, like, you know, it's Brenda's birthday coming up November 1st, and we wanted to build something for him for his birthday. So what would be some kind of ideas that you would, you know, sort of walk through the client with this process?
I mean, I like the McLaren idea, but
yes,
yeah,
we already have an idea. We're definitely getting on Turo. We're definitely going to rent like a real nice car that he is driving around all day, and like that can be the anchor of the day. Everything revolves around like driving here. Maybe he goes into something and he comes out and like there's another envelope waiting in the car, right? Like, so there's lots and lots of things. Everything's going to revolve around that, or at least as like the anchor. But as far as steps go, what will end up happening is somebody reaches out on my website. Sometimes people like call me or like Instagram, but it's like, just fill out the form so I can stay organized. And they fill out like a quick thing on my website that has like your name, you know, I think like where you live or where you want the adventure to be. Tell me about the person, what's the occasion, potential time or potential date. And then double checking if they actually want an adventure or they want me to consult, because sometimes people don't know, or they think one thing or the other. And then what happens, we have a quick 15-minute call to make sure that we're a good fit. I talk through like, oh yeah, this is how much it'll probably cost, right? Based on what you want, to make sure that people aren't, you know, completely taken surprise. Most people have a pretty good idea, and I'm super transparent with like costs and pricing and things. But early on, I have people that are like, we want you to come to a bachelor party in New York City, and our budget's $400. And I was like, I don't even think I can fly to New York City for $400. You know, like, it's tricky. So we figured that out, and then I send a contract, which is Then I send the survey. And the survey is basically what I sent you. It has phobias and allergies. Is there anything you want the budget to go more toward? So in Brandon's case, we're going to put a bigger piece of the budget toward like renting some souped up car that he can drive around, versus I've had people that are like, we love wine and we love nice food. And so a lot more of the budget went toward nice wine. I actually hired a sommelier to like pair wine with like the puzzles and the experiences.
Wow.
And so a lot of it went toward that, versus somebody that's like, I want it immersive. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to hire a bunch of actors and we're going to make it really immersive and more story driven. You know, the otter one, like Jaguar to a helicopter to a wild animal park, like a lot of the budget went toward that. So some people want really simple, like inexpensive, maybe it's a little bit more wilderness based, right? It's out kind of like in Lake Tahoe area, it's up in the mountains. That's not gonna cost quite as much, just because like, you know, find some treasure hunts, use a treasure chest, use a compass. You have to figure out how I'm gonna get there, but you know, I can make it work.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, usually with the budget aspect too, you said even if they are in contract, like you can still adjust that to whatever they're about to like remove or take off.
Yeah, what essentially happens is I charge a flat rate for myself, and then it's just whatever it costs on top. I like doing this because it allows for an extremely transparent and just honest conversation about money, where it's like, listen, I'm making the same amount whether your budget is $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, because like it doesn't, like adding in a helicopter doesn't add that much more work for me. It's just like, what's the difference between driving yourself or taking a helicopter? About $2,000 usually.
Right.
And so people give me a budget and I stand to that budget, but I just charge them whatever it costs. So if somebody's budget is $5,000 and it ends up costing $3,200, I just bill them $3,200. Like it's not. It's nice because then I have the play money if we're like, hey, instead of getting this cryptex, what do you think about doing this one so it's a nicer keepsake? Cool. This one's 50. This one's like, I think 300, 350, right? That's just the difference. It's like, do we have $300 more budget? No? Cool. We'll do this one.
Yeah.
And so it allows that conversation that if you're hiring me for Brandon, we can have that. If you want to be on it too, I can keep you kind of mostly in the dark. You know, like you'll have to.
How do you want to know about the budget?
Pardon?
How would you want to know about the
Yeah,
budget?
because if I get involved, budget goes out the window. It's just like,
that's all I want to know.
it's a budget.
Budget.
And then I just break down everything on an Excel sheet afterwards where I'm like, yeah, this cryptex was $53.25. Like, if you want the receipt, I have it saved. Very rarely do people ask for receipts, but I'm like, here you go. Like, it's a really boring, like, Google Drive that has, like, pictures of receipts before I crumple them up.
Nice.
And, yeah, then I move on to the next one.
Okay. We got a question for you.
For Sith, I'm assuming, is Sith. Chris, do you ever get event insurance when you do these adventures?
Yes. So I have business insurance, which is wildly important. I actually did a YouTube video talking about like these types of things for a business owner. It's tricky because there's inherently some risk. Just because like I've seen a lifeguard save someone and that person sues them for like saving their life, right? Where you're like, oh, okay, people sue. I know, it happens, right? But for the most part, aside from me having business insurance, which can cover, like, that is mostly for if I'm going to do something on an event space or at a restaurant, right? Something with like an actor, maybe. It helps put the business owner at ease that it's like, yep, I have business insurance. It's Geico or whatever. I think it's Geico. It doesn't matter. And that covers the cost. And then release forms. So like if you're going to hire me for Brandon, part of the contract is like, you're taking responsibility. But like, and it ends up being like a team up. Like we work together on this. Very rarely does someone just like give me money and then like we don't talk. And I have a great relationship with a lot of my clients. Like I've become friends with a lot of the marriage proposal clients where it's like they invited me to their bachelor party and I kind of helped build the kidnapping part of it. And like by the end of these things, I end up like on a really, really great relationship with the client. And so that helps too, where like humanizes me. So I'm not just like the faceless architect. It's like, no, I'm Chris. I drove out here and I, stayed up all night building this and did this and ran around and now moving on to the next thing. So
nice. I mean, the personal touch is always the best thing, in these kind of close type events. So
yeah.
And also, since we were talking about the consultation part, there is a secret phrase that everyone can type in to win a 3-call consultation, which is valued at $150 for Chris. His time is so valuable.
Yeah,
I mean, like the holiday season is coming up. This is the most exciting times to build something for that special someone.
Halloween and then Christmas and then and then Valentine's Day is back to back.
So if you're interested in finding out how to do this and have a 3-hour free consultation with Chris, type in Build My Adventure. You're going to have until 2 more episodes, or was 7 episode before episode 19 to do this. So if you missed it, you can watch this video at a later time and then still be able to type it into the chat after watching the video. So type in Build My Adventure.
We actually in the last episode with the escape game, similar concept of working backwards and then also twists and turns leading to that, but everything is in reverse. So whatever is the normal perception of what is next, you have to kind of twist that and go, but working backwards.
Yeah.
Sure. So, and also I wanted to know, like in terms of an occasion, right? Do you have one that was your favorite, and what's your favorite design and why?
Oh man, I have a couple. I always remember like my first marriage proposal adventure, and I'm very, very good friends with the couple now, and they're always like, "We're still your favorite proposal, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." But it was fun because it was done like those Russian nesting dolls where you like open up one and there's one and there's one and it like keeps going. I did that with treasure chests, and so it started with like this big chest. It was actually, I think it was this one. Here I can move the mic stand.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, which is big. And so, she had to get that lock open. And then inside of it was like a smaller one. And she had to get that one. And like, she kind of went through the day and the whole, like went to all these places that were meaningful to the relationship. Like where they first said, I love you. Like, first Valentine's Day, this and that. And she kept opening these chests. And then she finally got to the very end where they had like went on like their first or second date, which is the highest point in San Diego. And he was waiting there with the final key. And so he like took the box from her and he opened it and pulled out the ring. And so like we made her carry around her own wedding ring all day as like kind of like a fun, like a fun experience. And of course, like GPS trackers literally like sitting right beneath the ring. So it's like,
good thing she didn't lose it. That's what I was about to say.
Yes. There's always GPS trackers involved, especially when there's a proposal or there's a ring or something valuable that we don't want to lose. Every January, pre-pandemic, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, a company hires me and I do a different adventure in Hawaii. And so on a different island. And so the first one was in Kauai, and that was amazing. And essentially, like when you do adventures for groups, it's different than like a single serving. Like when I do the proposal, it's on the rails. So like at this time they're going to be here, at this time they're going to be here, at this time. Versus a large group adventure, I'm not going to herd like 5 teams just like plot. It works in Amazing Race, but it doesn't. Amazing Race has a lot of TV magic that happens. Versus I like to make it open-ended, so it's like you have a central area and a big treasure map, and then you have all these checkpoints you have to try to find and complete some challenge at the checkpoint. And so in that case, it was like there was a water challenge, which was like they had to snorkel down and like dive down 6 feet and get some little obelisk from a chest and bring it back. And then a land challenge where somebody was kind of like hiking through this like Hawaii wilderness cliffside, and they had a walkie-talkie and their teammates were back in a tent with directions, like take 15 steps this way, tell me when you're there, what do you see? Okay, turn this way. Then an air challenge, which was like a zip line where one member had to go through like the 2 biggest zip lines, and halfway through they had to solve a puzzle, and there was like a communication thing with their team. And then a culture challenge where I had some local people from Hawaii that lived on Kauai all their life that taught how to play the ukulele, which I have a couple behind me. And so they had to learn like a super easy song, Tiny Bubbles, and so they had to basically sing it and perform it. And so that was kind of a fun experience where they had to basically like run around this island and figure these things out all to get to the finish line.
That's so cool. What company is this? I want to go work for them. Like,
I don't say that.
I feel like all companies should have this type of outdoor, team building experience. Like,
I mean, even without the adventure, just being in Hawaii is like pretty awesome already. But
and did we say what the Build My Adventure is, what it gets, the discount it gets to consultation?
What do you mean?
I wanted to make sure that people knew because we raffled off a free consultation, correct? From
this won't be raffled until the 19th
Yeah,
episode of our show.
We'll give
the raffle that you did was for the previous one.
Yes, that's how I was going to tell you before. It was so the Ariel actually won the cursed dollhouse.
Yeah, so we'll give enough.
Part of me was like, please don't send in Build My Adventure and expect a bunch of free consultations.
But going back to asking about like the people that you worked with, were you approached by anyone who's like famous? I mean, obviously you can't reveal a name or whatnot, but does the concept of the game design and also do you get like nervous as the bigger your client gets?
I used to get nervous with big clients. I don't anymore. Definitely like the first time I've done a couple for people that like are not super famous, but like I know them, like I recognize them, you know? Yeah. And there definitely has to be a lot more put into place to make sure that like they have an experience, you know, we don't want some like random person, you know, like when you're doing these things, anybody could be in on it. But you don't want some random like fan coming up and being like, oh my God. And they're like, wait, is this part, do I have to deal with this person? You're like, is this a thing? So there is a little bit of that, but luckily the budget's high enough to where like I can make sure that the set, you know, I can rent out a whole area and hire actors, right? Instead of like, oh, we're just going to do this in the middle of a park and like, hope it works out. Yeah. So, yeah, I've done a couple for bigger people. I've had to sign like NDAs where it's like, can't talk about this person. And it's kind of fun and exciting. It was a little bit like, oh God, I made it. Like I'm here.
Nice.
You know, people know me.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I noticed that we only have one person who figured out the puzzle by now. Would you like to give a little hint, maybe?
Yes.
So that other people can give it a try.
This is a puzzle that I thought that I built myself, and I've used only once or twice. And someone's like, "Oh yeah, it's from like a Hitchcock novel," and I was like, "What? Come on!" I'm so upset. It's like there's no new ideas. But essentially, by now, I'm going to assume that any user understands that since it's a five-letter password and there are 5 different times near me, like in and around, that's easy. I'm sure you've written it down. Let me see. 10:30, 2:40, 10:10, 8 o'clock, and 10:15.
And we got some flags in the back.
Yes. And so the other piece to this is semaphore. And so I don't know how much time we have left if you want me to keep explaining it, but I can just say like...
No, I think that's pretty good, you know.
Yeah. Semaphore in time, there's definitely things
already at this point for any of the puzzle work.
Yeah, a little jump that needs to be made with time, but it's something I would expect people to do, and it sounds like somebody already did that. And then it's just a quick unscramble.
Okay.
But yeah, when I actually used these semaphore flags in an adventure, it started with this type of puzzle. And then at the very end, it involved sending this woman up on top of like a pretty high like mountain with like a monocular telescope and a compass, and she looked in a direction, and there was somebody like hundreds of yards away with the flag sending a message telling her where to go next. And so I like tying those things kind of back together where it's like it starts with the puzzle and then it goes with this and then it ends with like somebody actually using the semaphore flags. It's cool to have that like a bit of
it's not like you just threw it in there. Actually it was for the purpose.
There's a purpose to everything.
I mean, that makes sense, because then if we get a puzzle and we're like, wait, well, how does this tie together?
Why
is
this
this
even
in? So it's...
Like they just picked up a bunch of flags and like, oh, let's throw it in there.
It also helps signposts too, right? Where you start with the semaphore and then they see semaphore flags and they're like, okay, I know where I need to be. And signposting is so important when you build these. Any puzzle needs signposts. I'm sure you probably chat with people where it's like, you got to make sure people know they're like kind of on the right track. Little signposts. So they're not just like, I don't know, there's these flags, there's this, that.
In the near future, though, do you have any other plans to make like digital games, virtual games, or are you going to focus more on this construction consultation and
so it's interesting, right? Because most of my colleagues went digital, right? They're building a tabletop thing, they're building a mailing thing, they're doing that because like how you do. I realized that like there's, and this is like me putting on my business owner hat, there's a ton of people doing it right now. There's a lot of noise in that market. And to be completely honest, like there are people that are just way better at building puzzles than I am. And like narrative and art and all that. Like you know, Rita from Post Curious, right? She is incredible and like brilliant, and you know, but one of my things that I specialize in is kind of this immersive event thing, and I have this knowledge, and so I'm currently writing a book, which is essentially just like a how-to book to get people prepared to build these things. I do have some projects that I kind of am working and consulting on. So I'm working with a gentleman who I interviewed. We're in the very beginning stages of like it's almost kind of a build your own adventure puzzle book, where like depending on, you know, different things they get, they find things, but it's so early that like we're not even close.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, and then I am working with a gentleman to build two kind of immersive narrative like puzzle hikes on properties. One really close to here in Portland, and then one potentially in Maui, where I'm going to basically like use the land that is property and almost build like an escape room outdoors that has like a narrative story of like a heist that happened, and like like it's really
like a pop-up shop, or is it like a pop-up shop that you're doing?
No, it'll be like forever ingrained in this area. So like if people want to go and hike, they can go and hike. If people want to purchase this package where it's like there's a bunch of things that have been set up, you know, there's plaques that are like, oh yeah, this is like there's the river going down Washougal, Washington, and it's like, but if you purchase that, you're like, oh, here's an Ottendorf cipher that you read between the lines on this plaque, and so it's kind of like a pre-built hidden adventure all throughout this like hiking spot, kind of over the cliffs on the river in just like southern Washington.
Nice.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like you do so many, different jobs and or adventures that you should just move to Hawaii now. Like you're like in Hawaii, and then this one is in Hawaii. I'm like, how many times do you go to Hawaii every year?
I know. I've only been to Hawaii twice, actually, and so this was just like weird. Like, yeah, we also have property in Maui, and I was like, yes, I will do whatever I need to do this, please.
I can get more creative in Maui. So
We are finally at our exciting segment, unless you want to re-announce
no, we are about to play
our trivia segment of Think or Drink.
Think or drink.
Take a drink. All right, so what do you have to drink over there, Chris?
So I actually have Kohana Hawaiian rum that I got. Yes, I love like.
I love the bottle.
Oh yeah, it's so like it's beautiful.
Wow.
One of the things that I always do whenever I travel anywhere is I always purchase like a really nice bottle of liquor, because like I'm an adult and like I don't even drink from a plastic bottle anymore, and like if I go to Hawaii, I want to get rum, right? If I go to Mexico, I'm gonna get tequila. If I go to France, I'm gonna get wine or champagne.
Yeah.
You know, I got some awesome like dill pickle vodka in Saskatoon, Canada. It's really good.
Really?
Sounds interesting, but sure.
Yeah. I like to do it. I like to have it, and I like to give it as gifts. So my brother, like every Christmas rolls around, I'm like, guess what countries I went to?
I'm jealous. Brandon, what do you have?
So I'm going to mix, actually not mix liquor, but I'm going to mix, I've had this before on the show, barrel whiskey, great bottle, but I'm going to try something different. I'm going to mix it with the squeeze of lime and Fresco.
Ooh.
So kind of have like a little bit of a mule-ish taste to it.
Loves mules.
Have you seen the new season of The Boys? If you watch the show, the Amazon show The Boys, it's so good.
We're not there yet. We're on season 1 still. I know.
Haven't been this stressed out since Breaking Bad, but they add in Fresca, and it's just enjoy it. You'll have like this little like, oh, Fresca. It's
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get
just so the audience know, that trivia segment for this show is a little bit different than the previous one, because we previously would ask about the questions about the game that we recently played, but this one is going to be just totally from trivia knowledge from the website or the internet or outside knowledge.
Chat,
so,
please help me. Please help me.
So if you know the answers,
anyone out there,
help him or not help him.
Yeah, or
because that rum could be really good. Who knows?
Yeah, you might not want to get help.
Yeah, I know, right? Your boy's about to get drunk on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So we're giving you a 10-second timer. It starts after we ask the question. We have 5 questions for you and maybe a bonus one. We'll see how it goes. All right. So Cece's
Do I
going
just start drinking the moment I know that I'm not going to get it right? Is that how this works?
Yeah.
Most people do.
All right, our first question is, in which country was the largest known T-Rex skeleton found?
Can I guess and get it wrong? Because
That's just wrong then, but you can guess.
My guess is the United States, actually.
That is so close.
Very close.
South America?
Canada.
Yeah, a little bit north.
Our friendly Canada.
Smooth.
Yeah. Are you drinking that straight up, or you have?
Yeah, I drink. It's and it was my goal to find, because like I love tequila, and I finally got to the point where you find tequila, you get a nice double añejo tequila like down in Mexico. You can just sip it, and it's nice. You don't need an ice cube. You don't need anything. My goal was to find rum that was that way as well, where it's like you don't need to guess rum. You assume rum, and you're like, it's gonna go in Coke. You know, you're gonna put it in Diet Coke and rum. But I really wanted to find something where I could just sip it and just kind of enjoy it, and it works.
And rum has like a natural, like a little bit of a sweetness to it already.
Yeah, because it's fermented sugar. You know, like tequila's agave. You have, yours is probably what, like wheat, rye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get through these before you get drunk.
All right. Question number 2 for you is:
what was the first toy to be advertised on television?
Oh God. Okay, it's got to be. I know I'm gonna get it wrong. I'm gonna guess Lego, but it's got to be earlier than that.
Ooh, it's close. It's close.
Mr. Potato Head.
I knew it was something like super iconic.
Yeah.
I've been going through. Have you seen? Jack
got it. Yeah.
I've been going through. There's a Netflix special called like The Toys That Made Us, and it made me discover that like my entire childhood like pop culture intake was completely designed around trying to get me to buy toys, right? Like X-Men toys, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like it's all just like you see TMNT, and they just want you to buy it.
He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Voltron. Yeah, I had closets full of and bins full of
Pretty
toys.
sure everybody has.
All right, question number 3 for you is:
all right, what is the loudest animal on Earth?
Oh, it's an underwater. It's like a mantis shrimp.
Oh, it is underwater.
Final answer?
Mantis shrimp.
Oh, it is underwater, but it's the sperm whale.
Dang it!
I'm telling you.
I'm like, what? The mantis shrimp has like that. It can literally like it shoots like a sound wave gun to incapacitate, and you don't keep it in aquariums because it can shatter the glass. Anyway.
Wow. I have no idea why this. So now I'm like, I need to Google what sperm whale.
Well, because whales have sonar, so.
But like specifically with the sperm whale.
Yeah.
It's also so big. That's probably it. Like,
yeah.
One of the biggest animals.
All right. This one should be okay, but it's also probably going to be a guessing one.
Nope.
All right. How many languages are written?
Oh.
How many languages are written from right to left?
All right, I know there's at least one. I'm just going to say 3 because there's a lot of languages.
There's 12.
12?
There's so many.
You can go through. I mean, there's Arabic, Aramaic, Azeri, Davi, Fula, Hebrew, Kurdish, Enko, Persian, Rohingya, Syriac, and Urdu.
All I knew was
Hebrew,
Arabic.
Oh.
That's the only one that I like knew of because I remember seeing like you have to like hold your like sleeve as you write. Oh man, that's.
I didn't know there were 12, but these are going to become useful one day to you. Chris.
Yeah, you're going to thank us. You're in the escape room like.
On TV, you're going to be on a show, and you're going to be like, oh my God, thank you so much. I won $1 million because of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
10%. 10%. We're calling it out now.
Okay.
All right, so number
5. What is the only kind of parrot that can't fly? It's not a tricky question.
Is it I'm thinking like a
actually a parrot that can't fly.
No, what type of parrot? Parrot. I'm guessing I know budgies. How do they can fly? I don't know.
So it's called a cockapoo?
Not cockatoo?
Cockapoo.
No, Cockapoo? The Cockapoo.
I was like, isn't that a mix between a Cocker Spaniel and a Poodle?
See, the rum is getting creative now.
Oh man!
All right. Since you're
Final
doing so well right now, we're gonna give you a bonus question. This one I think you're gonna get. Just take your time. Give it the full 10 seconds.
All right.
Go ahead.
What country is nicknamed Land of 1,000 Smiles?
Not the United States, that's for sure.
You're right. That's right.
Land of 1,000 Frowns.
Land hasn't smiled. I'm assuming it's placed super high up on the happiness index. I'm gonna start narrowing it down. Norway's super happy, but
Tell you if the continent is Asia.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh god.
I thought he wasn't going with it.
I'm gonna go. If the continent's in Asia, I'm just gonna go Thailand. Yeah, I saw it. I was gonna guess because it's the only one that's coming to mind. Is it Thailand?
It is Thailand. Cheers. Great finish.
Awesome. I wish I'm moving to Thailand soon for the $10 massages.
Yeah. $5.
All day.
Half
All
of
day,
everything.
every
The fact that people wear masks when they're supposed to, that's kind of nice too. Right?
Hey.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on our show, and we're so glad to learn more about you and what you do.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I mean, it's
before
very different than what we always interview in terms of like game designers, but we really do want people to know about these games that you can customize and build for your loved ones.
Yeah, as an experience, and
that's very special, and it makes the entire experience a lot closer to heart.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this.
Gotta do the answer for.
You gotta give the answer.
Oh yes.
The keeper. Do you want to say the password?
Keeper's like keeping it for so long. He's like, no, please.
The keeper has been keeping it.
Yeah.
What is your answer, the keeper? If you want to type it.
I got it wrong. Hey, he got it!
Yay! Awesome, great job.
I'll reach out to him. Probably, I'll grab your address. I'll send you a quick wax sealed envelope with an Instructed Adventure sticker. And then, if you reach out for consultation and you use that password, just throw it in there. I'll have a promo area. I'll give you $10 off. Normally it's $50 an hour, but happy to do $40, just because we appreciate it.
And thanks for everyone who was watching, and this has been a lot of fun. I hope everyone enjoyed. And then for our next episode coming up, we're going to have the puzzling package. So tune in for that.
Industries. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Chris, thanks again.
For hints and clues for you to think it through. Leaderboard or not is whether you win or lose. 3 hints left for me to choose. 2 hints left for me to use. 1 hint left for me to move. Time is running out, gotta figure something out. 3 hints left for me to choose.